You're a grown adult. You know there's nothing in your house, and yet, when you turn off the lights and walk up the stairs, some part of you speeds up. You don't look back at the dark hallway, and for a half second, you feel it. Something is behind you. It isn't. You know it isn't. So why does your body refuse to believe you? Here's the uncomfortable truth. That fear isn't childish. It isn't a weakness you failed to grow out of. It is one of the oldest, most reliable survival systems ever built. And it kept every single one of your ancestors alive long enough to have you. For 300,000 years, the dark was not empty, and your body still remembers what was waiting in it. Let's start with a fact most people never think about. Your eyes are bad, not bad compared to other humans, bad compared to almost everything that ever wanted to eat you. In daylight, human vision is excellent. We see color, detail, distance. But the moment the sun goes down, that advantage collapses. Our eyes need light to work, and in true darkness, they give us almost nothing. You felt this. In a pitch black room, you cannot see your own hand. You reach for a wall that isn't there. You freeze because moving feels dangerous. Now picture the animals that hunted early humans. Leopards, hyenas, lions. Every one of them sees in the dark far better than you do. Their eyes are built for it. A leopard can watch you from 20 feet away in light so dim you'd swear the world had gone black. To them, night isn't blindness. Night is an advantage. So for our ancestors, the setting of the sun wasn't just the end of the day. It was the moment the balance of power flipped. In daylight, a human with a spear was a dangerous thing. In darkness, that same human was prey, surrounded by things that could see when he could not. Think about that. Half of every single day, for hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors were the weak ones. And the only thing that kept them alive through those hours was fear. Specifically, the fear that made them stay close to the fire, stay still, and never ever wander into the dark alone. Now you might be thinking, okay, but maybe we just learned to be afraid of the dark as kids. Maybe a scary movie did it, or a story, or a bad night. Fair guess. But the evidence says something stranger. The fear of darkness shows up in children who have never had a single frightening experience in the dark. Nothing bad ever happened to them at night. No one taught them to be afraid. And yet, somewhere around the age of 2, almost every child on Earth begins to fear the dark. It arrives on schedule, like teeth coming in. And it isn't just one culture. Anthropologists have looked at communities all over the world, different continents, different beliefs, different ways of living. The fear of the dark appears in all of them. A child in a city apartment and a child in a remote village both lie awake watching the shadows in the corner of the room. That kind of pattern, the same fear in every human population, is a clue. It means the fear probably isn't taught at all. It's built in. It came with the body. And here's the part that should give you a small chill. Studies of human fears find the same short list at the top, again and again. The dark, snakes, spiders, heights, being alone. Notice something about that list. These aren't modern dangers. Nobody is killed by a spider on their morning commute. These are the dangers that stalked us 100,000 years ago. Your fears are a museum. They are a perfectly preserved record of what used to kill your kind. But the fear of the dark has one feature that sets it apart from the others, and it's the creepiest one. In the dark, your brain doesn't just feel afraid, it starts to invent things. You've experienced this. You stare at a dark doorway, and after a few seconds, the shadows seem to shift. A coat on a chair becomes a figure. A pile of clothes becomes a crouching shape. Your heart rate climbs. You know rationally that it's a coat, but your brain has already decided to treat it as a threat. This isn't your mind malfunctioning. This is your mind working exactly as designed. When there isn't enough information to see clearly, the brain fills in the blanks. And when it comes to survival, it always fills them in with the most dangerous possibility. Because think about the math your ancestors faced. Imagine a rustle in the dark. It could be the wind. It could be a leopard. If you assume it's the wind and you're right, you saved yourself a little fear. If you assume it's the wind and you're wrong, you die. But if you assume it's a leopard and run, the worst case is that you felt silly for nothing. One mistake cost you an awkward moment. The other mistake cost you everything. So evolution made a choice for you. Long before you were born, it built a brain that would rather be scared 1,000 times for no reason than be calm one time too many. Every false alarm is the system working. The coat that looked like a man for half a second. That wasn't a glitch. That was 300,000 years of survival, choosing to keep you alive over keeping you comfortable. There's one more detail, and once you notice it, you'll feel it for the rest of your life. Pay attention to where the fear is strongest. It's behind you. When you flick off the light and leave a room, the dread isn't in front of you, where you're walking towards safety. It's at your back. You feel the pull to not turn around, and also the terror of not turning around. You half want to run. This is not random either. A predator that hunts in the dark does not come at you from the front, where your weak eyes might catch it. It comes from behind, from the blind spot. For our ancestors, the killing space was the area they could not see, and the area they could not see was always the darkness at their back. Your body learned that lesson so deeply that you still feel it on a staircase, in a house with locked doors, and no predators for 1,000 miles. The dark behind you still feels like the place death comes from. So let's put it all together. You are afraid of the dark because your eyes fail in it, while the things that hunted you saw perfectly. You are afraid because that fear is not taught. It is handed down, written into you before birth. You are afraid because a brain that imagines monsters survives, and a brain that stays calm gets eaten. And you are afraid of what's behind you, because that is exactly where it used to come from. Now here's the thought I want to leave you with. For 300,000 years, there were two kinds of humans. There were the ones who felt that fear, who stayed by the fire, who refused to walk into the dark, who turned around at the smallest sound. And there were the ones who didn't, the brave ones, the calm ones, the ones who wandered off into the night without a second thought. Only one of those two kinds lived long enough to have children, and it wasn't the brave ones. Every person alive today is descended from the scared ones, from the ancestors who flinched, who ran, who believed the shadow was a monster. You exist because they were afraid. That fear is not a flaw in you. It is the inheritance that built you. So tonight, when you turn off the lights and feel that old familiar pull to hurry up the stairs, don't be embarrassed by it. That feeling is older than language, older than cities, older than your name. It's the oldest part of you, still doing its job, still standing watch in the dark, the way it has for 10,000 generations, still whispering the same thing it whispered to the very first humans who ever feared the night. Don't look back. Just keep moving toward the light.